Okay, so the episode that we're going to have today on Faith Mysteries is a God moment. Have you ever had a moment in your life where God set into motion a series of events that would forever change your faith and change your life for the better? I call that a God moment, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, today's episode is going to be on a God moment. An experience I had in my life that really changed me. And many of you probably have had similar kinds of situations. If you have, I'd love for you to tell your story in the comments section. I love hearing about where God changes people and finds them in a spot, introduces something that they never expected, and then they become changed, forever changed because of it in a good way. So I'm going to take you back. So this is like, I don't know, 23, 24, 25 years ago. My two girls, Bethany and Becca, were like 4 and 6 at the time. And before I tell you the story, I just want to make sure everybody understands. This is a really cool story, but it's all meant to glorify God and not to glorify me. Because as you'll see in this story, I was just fighting God left and right before He changed me. So anyway, it's Christmas Eve, and my wife is a worship director at St. Paul's Church in Decatur, and this is at the old sanctuary on Wood Street, not the new building they have now. And she's, for any worship directors out there, I mean, this is the night, right, where you've got all this stuff planned, all this music and all this dramatic stuff that's going to happen. And my wife's a little bit nervous, and so I was supposed to take care of the kids and take that off of her mind so that she could concentrate on her job. There was this workroom where you could go, where the printer was, and where you could put stuff together, and there were tables. And so the four of us were back there, and she was getting something ready, and I was trying to occupy the girls so they wouldn't get in her way. And we were playing, and maybe I was reading them books. I don't remember exactly what it was. And so then there's this knock on the door, and this guy kind of pokes his head in and did not recognize him at all. And he said, can I shovel the walk in the front for you? And I thought, it had been snowing, right? And I thought, what? And I didn't recognize him. And I thought, why is he here? I'm sure he's not like one of the maintenance guys, because they just would have gone out and done it. They wouldn't have asked for permission. And so my first thought was, I got to get rid of this guy. I mean, I need to wash these girls. My wife needs to get ready for the service. I got to get rid of him. So I walk up to him and I say, well, let's go out and look at the snow out there. And I thought maybe if there wasn't very much snow, I could get rid of them. So we walk out down the hallway, go out to the door. He's got a shovel in his hand. We go out there and look. Snow doesn't look too bad. And I said, I hate to say this to you, bud, but we don't need someone right now to do that. And he said, well, I don't have any money. I don't have food for my family tonight. I'm trying to shovel to earn some money to buy Christmas dinner for my family. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I believe this guy. And I said, look, if what you really need is food, let me take you to the grocery store. And I was actually trying to call his bluff, hoping he would say, no, that's okay, and walk away. He said, okay, sure, that's fine. So I go back, and it was at that moment that God was really working on me, because I didn't want to do any of this stuff. Really didn't. I was just trying to get rid of the guy. So I went back and told Heidi, look, I don't know if I'll be back in time for the service, but I'm gonna be gone for a while. So we take off, take a shovel, put it in the trunk of my car. He gets in the car with me. We drive to the grocery store, and every step along the way, God's softening my heart, because my heart was hard when I saw him knock on that door, and now it's getting soft. And so I said to him, what do you want to have for Christmas dinner tonight? Christmas Eve dinner. And he said, would a turkey be too much trouble? I said, no, no problem. So I get a turkey and then got it in the cart, and I thought to myself, you know what? Let's just fill this guy's cart up. It's just money. So we got a bag of potatoes, threw it in there, and he said, those potatoes taste really good with some onions. So he threw a bag of onions in there and a couple more things. The cart was getting full. I go, we check out, and I'm starting to warm up to this guy. God's really working on me. We get back we put the stuff back in the car. We drive to his house. On the way there, and this is just so weird. I mean, it's this typical Christmas Eve night, beautiful. There's snow. There's the lights on the streets are reflecting off the snow. It's just gorgeous. And I don't know how this happened, but there was a person selling roses by the side of the road. And I saw that. And I said, when was the last time you got your wife some roses? He said, never. And I said, well, do you think she'd like some? He said she'd love them. So we got a dozen roses, get back in the car, drive to the house, drive into up on the road next to his driveway, and we're getting the groceries out. And I said, you know what? I kind of like to meet your wife. And we're getting. He said, well, let me just take the food in first. So we get in there, and I can see her and I can hear a little bit what they're talking about. And she's very grateful for all the food, but she's embarrassed about their living conditions and didn't want me to come in for that reason. So he comes out and tells me that, which made me feel really sad, that she had felt that way, that, I didn't care at this point. I was happy to be a part of their life. And, but I heard her turn on the oven. Oh, I didn't hear. I saw her turn on the oven, and it was like the turkey's going in. So he comes back out, explains the situation. I said, no problem. I'll just be on my way. I prayed with him, gave him a big hug. I'm going to call this guy Leonard. I won't give you his real name, but I gave Leonard a big hug and said Merry Christmas. And now I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world, like I'm just doing what God wants me to do. And I take off, and then he's running down the road trying to flag me down. I thought, whoa, did something go wrong? And I stopped my car, and he said, my shovel's in your trunk. I need my shovel. And it occurred to me that was his source of income. Come to find out during the evening, he had just gotten out of jail. I never asked him what the reason was. He didn't have any money. He had no way to generate income. This was his way of doing it. Don't know how long, that those turkey potatoes lasted for his family. I was just glad I could be there that night. I drive back to church. I look at my watch. Service has already started. Don't know who's watching my kids because my wife can't be. She's running the service. I run into the church. I look for my kids in that workroom. They're not there. I'm sure some friend of the family is watching them. And I go in to sit down, and I can't find a seat anywhere. And it's packed like it often is on a Christmas Eve. And I just keep looking for a seat, and the music's already started. The only place I could find a seat is up in the balcony where the choir was. So I kind of there was an area where the choir wasn't seated off to the side, and there were other people were sitting there too because it was just so packed. And I just kind of found a spot, like a last open spot, maybe with a couple other chairs next to it, and then I stood there, and I do not remember what song was being sung, but it could have been "Oh Come All Ye Faithful, Joy of the World," whatever it was. I just remember standing there and just crying and not knowing exactly why, but it was a very pivotal moment in my life when that guy not and it doesn't really matter. This guy was a black guy. It doesn't matter, but there were no black people in our church, so we kind of stood out. And I think I don't consider myself a racist at all, but I probably looked at him as an outsider when I saw him. And did that play a role into me being arrogant at first and saying, and didn't say this, but wanting to get rid of them? Maybe. And I just think God changed me that day forever for the better. I look back and I used to be, maybe people still think I am, a little bit arrogant, a little bit judgmental, wanting things my way. And God flipped that on me and said, no, we're going to do things my way. And it took me a while. I fought hard at not wanting to take this guy to get the food, not wanting to help him out. But God kept nudging me, and I finally got on board. And the thing is, I don't know what happened to this guy. I pray I see him someday in heaven. I can give him a big hug. But I'm sure he struggled after that. Maybe I blessed him for a night or a few days, but he blessed me forever. I'll never forget that day. That's my God moment. If you have your own God moment, I'd love to hear it. For whatever reason, I just love to hear how God has changed people's lives. So thank you and love you all, and we'll see you next week.